the channel. I like to break down this 10-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown. Before we do, a quick reminder, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. We nailed it again last night. Going with Austin Riley in his first at-bat, he went deep, so of course that made that pick right real quick. Had a couple of those in a row now. Last time with Aaron Judge. Now with Austin Riley going deep that first time. Love to see it. Looking to keep that going. So if you like home runs, if you like winners in your lineups, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It does greatly help me, and I do really appreciate it. Takes 2 seconds. It's free, and I'll be here all MLB season long, breaking down these MLB DFS slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players, help you guys win some money. And then if you're interested in NFL DFS, I have also started content over there. Just released the first look video. Go ahead and check that out after this video because I think there's going to be some very valuable information leading up till lock as well. So, with all out of the way, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by carry. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. And the top guy on the slate today is going to be Mr. Zach Wheeler taking on the Baltimore Orioles. He comes in with a 28.9% K overall, 12.3 swinging strike rate, a 28% K rate to righties, and a 29.6% K rate to lefties. Very good across the board as far as ground ball, fly ball, hard contact, all of the above. And he gets one of the best possible matchups you could ask for tonight, taking on the Baltimore Orioles, who have been absolutely terrible. And then when you're looking at their lineup, it's even more watered down than it has been in quite some time. So, Orioles only have a 2.76 implied total. Zach Wheeler's a 308 favorite. He's 10-7 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's 10-4. And he's very clearly the top option on this slate tonight. I think he can rack up the Ks. I think he can get the win. And we know he has a long leash. He's able to go up to 100 and even past that in pitches. So definitely like Zach Wheeler tonight. Second on the list, we have Luis Garcia taking on the LA Angels. Their team I've been targeting all season long. Or not all season long, but more so in the latter half of the season. But recently, they've just been absolutely terrible. Luis Garcia leads the slate with a 13.3% swinging strike rate, a 27.2% K rate overall, 29.2% K rate to righties, and a 25% K rate to lefties. Has been very good in the ground ball, fly ball, slugging to righties. Lefties has been a little bit less than desirable, but still not too bad. And as mentioned, it's really the matchup. I mean, the Angels are just a team that we're going to want to be targeting for the rest of the season. They've been striking out a bunch. Luis Garcia is a heavy favorite here as well, with a 204 favorite being listed right now. He's 8-3 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 10K. Definitely like the discount on FanDuel specifically. And really the only thing you can knock him on is his pitch count. He's been being pulled right around 80, 85 pitches or so. And of course, you know, that's a big difference compared to a guy like Zach Wheeler, who has a longer leash. So on DraftKings specifically, it's very simple for me. I'm going to Wheeler. FanDuel, you can have a little bit more of a talk because of the price difference, but still really like Wheeler over him, I would say. But Luis Garcia, a decent option, taking on the Angels. We have Walker Buehler taking on Colorado, who's been a great pitcher all season long with a 25.8% K overall, 28% K rate to righties, and a 23.7% K rate to lefties. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff, slugging, all of that stuff. The only problem really tonight is that he's pitching in Coors Field. Colorado lineup is not one that scares us whatsoever, but it's in Coors Field, one of the best hitting environments in baseball, the best hitting environment in baseball, arguably. And the Rockies, who are a terrible team, have a 4.4 implied run total. If this weren't in Coors Field, I think we'd see that run total be much lower. And Buehler's definitely going to be a contrarian option that maybe some people won't be willing to play because of the Coors Field environment. Maybe we can get him at some lower ownership, and he has been very good. So don't hate it, don't love it, but he's definitely viable, I will say, for sure. We have Corey Kluber taking on the Texas Rangers, so another team that we're going to continue to target with a watered-down lineup, a 25.4% K overall, 12.9 swinging strike rate, 22.7% K rate against righties, and a 29.3% K rate to lefties. So he's actually been much more dominant against lefties, ironically, on the season so far, over a 71 innings pitch sample size. But as mentioned, he gets to take on this lackluster Texas Rangers team. They only have a 3.3 implied run total. Their offense has been terrible. They do have quite a few lefties in this lineup as well throughout, with guys like Leody Taveras, Nate Lowe, Willie Calhoun, Jonah Heim, Yanni Hernandez. Enough to rack up the strikeouts and the righties. I think he can get those outs as well. So he's 8K on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 9K. And I don't think he can ask for a much better matchup here. I think he's going to be definitely a great play. He was able to work his way up to 95 pitches last time against Cleveland. and I think that he can continue to pitch pretty well here. So it's just a matter of if you really want to pay the price tag on these sites. I mean, 8K on FanDuel compared to Luis Garcia's 8.3. They're going to be in contention. And then you look at DraftKings, he's got some guys around him as well, Ian Anderson, Chris Sale, etc. Speaking of Chris Sale, he's next on the list with a 24.6% K overall. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff, good hard contact stuff, a 25.2% K rate to righties, and a 20% K rate to lefties. And really, Chris Sale working his way back from injury. It's just been a question of the pitch count. We know the talent's there. Recently, he's been right around like 80 pitchers or so. And for that reason, he's a little bit difficult to be playing. I mean, the Red Sox are competing to make the playoffs right now. I think they're going to push him as much as they possibly can. Even with that being said, if they do make the playoffs, they're going to need him to be healthy, so it's kind of a catch-22. But taking on a New York Mets squad tonight that currently features a 3.85 implied total, I definitely think you can be looking at Chris Sale. Just a matter of price tag. He's 10K on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's at 9.6. Do you want to pay for a guy that much for a guy that's been limited around 80 pitches? Possibly. I think he could maybe go out there and get that done for you. But German Marquez taking on the LA Dodgers. He's been pretty good all season long, but he's in Coors Field. He's taking on the LA Dodgers. It's a really scary spot. If you want to go there to be contrarian, sure. But, I mean, the Dodgers have a 6.6 implied run total. You're definitely going to get him low owned, and he could go out there and dominate here. But realistically, the chances of him doing that aren't too high. So if you want to go there, sure. Not getting all too excited. Vince Velasquez has a tough matchup. Ian Anderson taking on Arizona is a pretty good matchup overall, so I wouldn't have an issue with targeting him as far as his pitch count and everything's concerned lately. He's 8.4 on DraftKings. Been able to work his way up as much to 99 pitches last time out. Last two performances, he had 9 strikeouts and 7 strikeouts, 2 run, 4 runs, but the strikeouts have really been there, displaying some of that upside. Now he gets to take on an Arizona squad tonight that's, not exactly too threatening. They only have a 4.05 implied run total. And when you're looking up and down this lineup, it's becoming less and less of a threat as the season goes on, I would say. At the top, they have Ketel Marte, David Peralta, but even those guys, I mean, it's just Marte really in this lineup as an elite bat, I would say. And Anderson's a 183 favorite, so no issues with that. Joe Ryan's been really good, and he gets to take on a Chicago Cubs team tonight. The ground ball, fly ball stuff has been a real issue with him, but he does have a 25.9% K rate to righties and a 21.2% K rate to lefties over a 17 innings pitch sample size. And when you're looking at him on DraftKings, he's been 89, 85, and then 67 pitches last time out. I'm not really sure why he got limited to 67 pitches last time out. That's something I'd have to dig into on the 14th, but I would anticipate that he's back up in the mid-80s range here tonight, and he definitely gets a great matchup taking on this Chicago Cubs team that traded away pretty much their entire team mid-season, and it's in Chicago, which is the stadium that's most impacted by wind. I said this last time. I said to avoid this game last night, and it wasn't nearly as much of winds. Now we're looking at supposedly 28 mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left. I mean, I can't play bats here. I mean, not weather. That's just not going to happen for me. Last night I checked the box score, and there were some runs put up in this game. Towards the end of the night, I didn't see how they were exactly scored. I'm sure there weren't home runs. Sorry if I'm wrong and lying on that, but I think Joe Ryan's viable, and I have a hard time targeting any bats here. We're not on bats yet, but we'll get to that next. Taijuan Walker taking on Boston. Boston's a tough matchup. Taylor Hearn, Merrill Kelly, Keegan Aiken. I mean, none of these guys are of any interest. I think this slate's one where you really don't want to get too cute at pitching. We mentioned a few maybe alternative options, but I mean, it's going to be Zach Wheeler at the top. Corey Kluber taking on Texas. He's got a great matchup. Walker Buehler, you can be contrarian in Coors Field. Even though it's in Coors Field, he does get a good matchup taking on Colorado. So maybe that's the way to go to be contrarian on the slate. But Ian Anderson taking on Arizona. That's really who I'd be going to. I'm not looking to get cute at pitcher. I think you can get different with your bats. So let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, let's go to sort my sheet by Sierra. Worst to best. Skill interactive ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher has been so far on the season and how good they're expected to be in the future. And the worst pitcher on the slate today is going to be Jansen Junk taking on the Houston Astros over an 8 innings pitch sample size. He has really struggled with the 769 slugging game up to righties, a 474 slugging game up to lefties. Small sample size, but we don't really anticipate this guy's going to be that great. And then we look at the Houston Astros implied run total. They have a 5.61 implied run total. They've been hot. I'd look for them to keep it going here. And then as far as, the Angels bullpen and everything, I'm not too scared about that either. They're on the road. They get the guaranteed 9th inning at bat. It's in LA. I'm going to continue to say, I said this last night. They were able to hit quite a few home runs. Angel Stadium, I think, is a much better home run hitter's ballpark than a lot of people give it credit for. So I have no issues, especially with this hitting weather. I mean, 82 degrees, 6-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, that's phenomenal, especially at this time of the year. You're not going to find that in a lot of these stadiums around the league. So I love this spot. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, Yulieski Gurriel, Kyle Tucker, Carlos Correa, Marwin Gonzalez, Chas McCormick, Martin Maldonado could play the entire lineup up and down and feel pretty good about it. So I like the Astros stack tonight for sure. Keegan Aiken taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Ground ball, fly ball stuff, not good. He has a walk issue. He gives up a 496 slugging to righties. He gives up a 527 slugging to lefties. Really not good. And he gets to take on the Philadelphia Phillies tonight, who do have a 5.24 implied run total. It's in Philadelphia. Great hitting environment. Pulling up the diagram here that I always show you guys as far as Philadelphia is concerned. In Citizens Bank Park, green across the board as far as home run. Plays very good down the right field line, specifically to those left-handed bats. I like to pull it down the right field line, so keep that in mind. And I think the Phillies are going to be a great stack tonight. You can play the righty. You can play lefty on lefty. He's really not good. And then the Orioles bullpen's terrible, as we know. And pretty good hitting weather, 77 degrees, 74% humidity, 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left field. So, Odubel Herrera, Gene Segura, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Andrew McCutchen, Matt Vierlin, T. Gregorius, Freddie Galvis. I'd play every single hitter in this lineup. No issues. If you want to go instead and stack up the bottom of the lineup, no issues with it. You want to go to the top, no issues with it. You want to play lefty on lefty and Bryce Harper, Odubel Herrera, Didi Gregorius against Keegan Aiken. No issues with it, especially once they get into that bullpen. It's going to be a good spot for them. So I like Philly. Miles Mikolas taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. He's very easy to break down. Pretty mediocre across the board against lefties specifically. He definitely gives up a lot more fly balls, a lot more potential for home runs against righties. He's been a little bit more dominant. And we have Mr. Scott Kazmir down here, who has a 7 innings pitch sample size that I want to get rid of real quick because not exactly showing the weaknesses of some of these other pitchers over a small sample size. So anyways, yeah, Mikolas, it's really looking to target the lefties, and that's where I'd be looking to on Milwaukee tonight. If you want to go to them, Milwaukee's not exactly going to be one of my top options, I don't think. However, it's in Milwaukee. It's a great hitter's ballpark for left-handed hitters specifically. I love targeting the right field line in Milwaukee, green across the board. And you got Colton Wong, you have Christian Yelich, you have Escobar, you have Navarez, Vogelback, Jackie Bradley at the bottom of the order. So it's a pretty nice lineup to be playing if you need them at low ownership when you need some left-handed bats to be stacking up this team. Vince Velasquez taking on the San Francisco Giants. It's a guy that's always giving up a lot of hard contact. He continues to do so this season. He has a walk issue. He gives up a 469 slugging to righties and a 557 slugging to lefties. So I really like targeting him with left-handed power. And the Giants definitely can supply that. They're in San Diego, not the best hitting environment, unfortunately. But with that being said, they still have a 4.89 implied run total. It can't get much worse than San Francisco's ballpark, so going into San Diego. Yeah, I mean, this lineup's just absolutely loaded with left-handed power, so it's going to be a great opportunity for them to really jump on Vince Velasquez here, I think. Tommy La Stella, Brandon Belt, Lamonte Wade, Brandon Crawford, Mike Yastrzemski, and then the righties in the middle of the order are going to definitely be in play as well with Buster Posey, Chris Bryant, Evan Longoria. It's a very deep lineup, very good lineup, and they get a great matchup. The Padres bullpen isn't exactly the one that I like to pick on the most, but with that being said, it's a great spot for them taking on Mr. Velasquez. So interesting there. Kyle Hendricks taking on Minnesota. He's really been bad, but as mentioned, this weather is going to be terrible apparently. A 453 slugging given to righties, a 510 slugging given to lefties. I'm just going to have a hard time playing bats in a game environment where the wind's expected to be blowing in from left field at 28 miles an hour. If this weather gets updated and maybe this is wrong on what I'm looking at in this projected starting lineups page right now, things may be different. I have a feeling it's not wrong. It tends to be windy in Chicago. It was windy last night. I think the wind's probably cranking up tonight. It's just going to be a no for me. I mean, if people play this team and no one else on the slate does anything, no one else hits home runs, and they dink and dunk for their way for 6 runs, so be it. I don't see that happening. I'm all good on that. Chris Flexen taking on Oakland, 446 slugging given to righties. Against lefties, he has been much more effective, so it's really the righties you're looking to on Oakland. As far as their implied run total and everything, they're not exactly going to be the most exciting team to target. They only have a 4.3 implied run total. This game's in Oakland. Not the best hitting weather, not the best hitting environment. I'm not getting too excited to stack this team up, to be honest with you, so I think we can just go ahead and skip over them. Merrill Kelly taking on Atlanta. I wanted to target this Atlanta Braves team last night. I think I want to target them again. Kelly gives up a 500 slugging to righties, a 358 slugging to lefties. He's definitely taken a step forward this year. He's been pretty bad traditionally, but against righties with that 500 slugging, I definitely think I'm not interested in the Atlanta Braves righties, most notably. Jorge Soler, Austin Riley, Adam Duvall, Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, and let's be honest, I'm not too scared to play lefties against him either. Merrill Kelly's really been more effective this year, but you also have to factor in the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen is terrible. Terrible bullpen. The Braves bullpen's not very good either. It's just the Diamondbacks lineup's clearly that bad because they still only have a 4.05 implied total. But definitely like the Brave stack. And then as mentioned, great hitting environment. They're on the road. It's in Arizona. Pulling up the diagram for Arizona as far as Chase Field's concerned. Green across the board, yellow for home runs. I mean, this is a great place to be hitting at. And you can't ask for a much worse bullpen to be taken on. So like them. Taylor Hearn taking on the Yankees. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's been bad. Hard contact stuff's been bad. He's pretty good against lefties. He's a lefty hero himself, but against righties, I mean, across the board, it's been pretty terrible. 37.5% hard contact rate with a 467 slugging given up. That's just not going to get the job done. And then, of course, they get to dig into that Texas Rangers bullpen. But the Yankees righties, specifically in this matchup, are just going to be in a great spot. LeMahieu, Judge, Stanton, Voit, Gleyber Torres, Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela. And then you can definitely play the lefties in Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo when they get into that bullpen. And both those guys are pretty respectable lefty on lefty, so no issues with going to the Yankee stack, a 5.7 implied total. They might have the highest on the no, Coors Field, of course, the Dodgers have the highest. But Ian Anderson, I'm not really interested in targeting him with Arizona bats. We talked about that. Corey Kluber in Texas. I mean, sure, if you want to go to the Texas righties, I just don't really think they have anyone that's that great besides Adolis Garcia. If you want to go to him, Taijuan Walker taking on Boston with a 438 slugging to righties. Really want to target him with right-handed power so far in the season. So if you want to go to the Boston Red Sox righties, that could be a little bit of a sneaky spot to be going to with Kiki Hernandez, Xander Bogaerts, JD Martinez, Hunter Renfroe, Vasquez. And I'd be willing to play lefties here. I mean, they have great lefties in Schwarber, Devers, Verdugo. Although Walker's been better against lefties, when he has a bad game, he tends to go downhill pretty quick. So I think the Red Sox stack could be an interesting one if we're seeing that they're not gaining much traction at some lower ownership. And then the last guy that I mentioned is really just Luis Garcia's issues against lefties. So the Angels don't really have anyone that can capitalize on that outside of Shohei Ohtani, but I think Shohei Ohtani's in a tremendous spot tonight. Brandon Marsh, Jared Walsh. If you want to fade Luis Garcia and go with the lefty stack, that could be a possible option as well. And I didn't really talk about the Dodgers, but it kind of goes without saying. They're in Coors Field. They're on the road. The Rockies' bullpen's terrible. Germán Márquez has been pretty respectable overall in the season. I mean, he's towards the bottom of my list as far as guys to target. A 377 slugging out to righties, a 392 slugging out to lefties. Guy's been pretty good. Against lefties, his strikeout rate really dips down. It's only an 18.8% clip compared to a 29.5% clip to righties, so that's one thing to take note of. Lefties are going to be in a great spot for sure. Of course, Seager, Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, but the righties are going to be just as in play. It's the Dodgers. They have a great lineup. It's in Coors Field. If there was ever a time to fade them, now might be the time against Germán Márquez because he's probably the best starter that the Rockies can roll out there. So if they're getting some major ownership, might be the day to maybe look elsewhere, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a little bit of interest. It's the Dodgers in Coors Field. So with that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Didi Gregorius taking on Keegan Aiken. We had mentioned he's a left-handed hitter, but does struggle against left-handed bats as well. With 527 slugging, giving up a 377 WOBA, only a 23.5% strikeout rate. This game's in Philadelphia. Great hitting environment. And when you break it down how Didi Gregorius faces off against his pitches and his repertoire, Keegan Aiken, really a three-pitch guy, fastball, changeup, slider. He'll go to the fastball 56% of the time, the slider 23% of the time against lefties, the changeup only about 6% of the time, and Didi can really handle all three of these pitches. As far as the fastball, you're looking at about a 91 to 92 mile-an-hour fastball, and off left-hand pitching, Didi Gregorius features a 588 ISO with a 525 WOBA, and then when he goes to the slider, Didi Gregorius can hit that as well with a 255 ISO and a 256 WOBA. And lastly, the changeup, Didi crushes with a 556 ISO and a 415 WOBA. Love the spot for Didi Gregorius, especially at an ownership perspective. Bottom of this Philadelphia Phillies lineup, lefty on lefty. He's going to take on this Baltimore Orioles bullpen. I think we can get him at low ownership, and he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Didi Gregorius going contrarian with the home run call. Like this spot. I think you're going to get him at next to no ownership at the bottom of this Philadelphia Phillies lineup. He's in a great spot here taking on the Baltimore Orioles pitching staff, and he profiles really well lefty on lefty. So get him in your lineups, and that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content that I upload. That would be greatly appreciated. And then don't forget to check out my NFL DFS content as well. If you're playing NFL DFS, just launched a big first look video. We'll have some more content coming out on that throughout the week. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.